Hi, we're going to talk about happiness today, okay? What is happiness? What is happiness? You're going to say something like, it's a feeling of this, or it's a feeling of that. But no, happiness is not a feeling. Feelings are the evidence of happiness, right? Like the smell of a pizza is evidence that there is a pizza. There's certain feelings that you need to be happy. Think of them as nutrients for happiness. The three micronutrients of happiness are satisfaction, enjoyment, and meaning. Let's talk about satisfaction, okay? You think that if you get this job, or more money, or the car, or the girl, you're gonna be happy. But that is not true, okay? It feels like that, but we are not wired like that, okay? We are wired. Let's talk about the brain, because that's where we need to learn. Your brain and my brain, everybody's brain work the best in the state called homeostasis. Okay, what is homeostasis? It means that is like a baseline, like a psychological, like an emotional baseline. We all have a baseline. So if you're running like on a treadmill and your heart goes really fast and really high, it would eventually come back to the original bearing, right? Let's say you get some horrible news that somebody was in a car accident, like I was in a car accident. Your cortisol will be up, but it will eventually go down, right? Because you can't stay long in a different psychological or emotional state. You just can't, right? That's just how we're wired. We're coming back to homeostasis, because unusual states are a reaction. Something really good or something really bad happens to you, and you think it's gonna last forever, right? But it doesn't last forever, right? If you think like you're gonna make $1 million, right? Or you're gonna get a six-pack, it's gonna be amazing, it's gonna be great. But that's not true, right? Like there's all these studies that say that you're wrong. You know, you're gonna say, I need another million and I need to get skinnier. It's never enough. That's why we have all these trillionaires, because of homeostasis. We talked about this hedonic treadmill in another talk, the money, power, pleasure, fame, right? More money, more things, more experiences, more. It doesn't matter how successful you get. If you don't have peace of mind, you always think it's not enough, right? The work that you need to be focusing on is your family, your friends, work that serves others, and fate. Yeah, fate. I mean, there's nothing wrong with money and pleasure and power and all this other stuff. There's nothing wrong with having those goals, but only as intermediary goals. What you are pursuing, your bigger goals, right? If those things make it easier for you to pursue your fate or have better relationships with your family or with your friends, that's amazing. But your happiness, your satisfaction doesn't come from all those things that you have, right? So having more is not the right strategy. You build up this image about how good it's gonna be when you hit those goals, like losing the weight or getting something, anything, the girl, okay? But those are not the right goals. The final goal should be being healthy or having a peaceful marriage, okay? The goal is working out every day and making my wife happy every day, my girl, making my girl happy every day, right? Because what do you do when you hit that number on a scale, or you sleep with this perfect girl? What do you do then? Nothing, right? That's why nobody's satisfied. It's because satisfaction is all the things that you have divided by the things that you want. So it's haves divided by wants. Successful people need to manage their wants more than they manage their haves. like what you want is progress. You know, you get a reward from progress itself, not from the things. It's like, it's not really like the dopamine ceases when you get to your goal, right? There's no more sweetness when you get to your goal. You need another goal. What you're gonna have is homeostasis when you get to your goal. What you need to do is want less and get more satisfaction from the progress. You need to want what you have and not have what you want, okay? Yeah, if you can crack that, you're gonna be satisfied with your life, right? But satisfaction is just one nutrient of happiness. Remember in the beginning I said the 3 macronutrients of happiness are: number 1, satisfaction; number 2, enjoyment; number 3, meaning, okay? You need them in balance. Enjoyment is not pleasure. Pleasure is like a limbic phenomenon. It's like the limbic system, what it does, it translates information from the outside to your brain. All emotions are information. There's no such thing as good and bad emotions. Positive and negative emotions keep you alive. So, all the things that give you pleasure, like sex or sugar, alcohol, gambling, all those things are enjoyment. To have enjoyment, you need to add people. So if you drink or do drugs by yourself, you're not doing it right. You need to add people and you need to add experience. So let's go back to meaning. Meaning is the why of your life. It's the hardest to figure out. It's a combination of 3 things: coherence, purpose, and significance. Coherence is the things that happened to you happen for a reason. So you need to have a theory why things are happening, okay? Because for thousands of years, generations, we had religions that told us why things are happening, and we believed them, right? We were very good at that. But now we don't. So we're stuck. Now we're just like seeing that, one thing after another. It's one damn thing after another, right? There's no rhyme or reason to why things are happening. So, yeah, purpose is when you know that your life has a direction and you have goals, okay? And you progress towards your goals. And significance is when you know that you matter. You are significant, and it matters that you are here, okay? So for that, you need to do a lot of introspection. There's 2 questions that this guy, Arthur Brooks, says you should answer. By the way, this guy, Arthur Brooks, wrote this amazing book with Oprah Winfrey called Build the Life You Want. And I very much recommend that. Go and buy it if you want to know more about this. But he says, you have a meaning crisis if you don't have answers to these 2 questions. So there's no right answer. You just have to have an answer. So the first one is, why are you alive? And the second one is, what would you die for? Okay? The why am I alive question is all about, why are you here? What are you doing? What you're doing? What did you do today? What do you do every day? You define that by when you choose to wake up and you say, what am I going to do today? Are you here to argue with your girlfriend? Are you here to be right? Are you here to make money? Why? Right? Like, if I think about it, like, why am I here right now? I'm doing this YouTube stuff because it's fun, and it's in a service of the people that I love. My worth is measured in what I give back. How am I serving other people? That's part of my meaning. So the second question is a little bit harder. Who are you willing to die for? Which people would you die for? What ideas? What democracy, freedom? What would you die? Would you die for this country? Like me, I would definitely die for you, for all my nephews, for Jackie's kids, for my dad, for my dog, a couple of my friends. I'm not sure if I'll die for my country. It depends. When 9/11 happened, I got into my car and I volunteered with the FEMA and the Red Cross at Ground Zero, okay? And I worked really hard. And I'll probably do the same if something like that was to happen. But who knows? I was 30 back then, you know? Anyway, it's the reaction that you're looking for. You know, if you're honest and say, hey, I don't know what I would die for. And nothing. I don't know, I'm probably nothing. Then you can start there, right? Start there. Look for these answers to these questions and start there. Find out your why. Start answering, what do I think it's right and what do I think it's wrong? What are my moral principles? What are my non-negotiables? Like, take out a piece of paper and write down what you think is right and wrong. Carl Jung, the father of psychology, said that the basis of happiness is finding out what you believe is right and wrong and live and act according to that, to what you believe, okay? Not what other people believe, what you believe. So the basis of unhappiness is not living in accord with your morals. Like when you say, I believe this stuff, okay? And I consistently do something else, right? Like I violate my own beliefs. That's why I always tell you, like all the time, not to say things out loud, because when you say things out loud, you put it out there in the universe and you believe them, right? It's common sense. Once you know what you believe and you start living accordingly to your own principles, your life will the stock will go up, man. You know? So, like, let's say you are against cheating, right? You don't believe in betraying somebody that you love. Nobody does. And you violate your own sense of reason by cheating. You're going to hurt yourself, not people around you. Yeah, you're gonna hurt everybody else, but basically the most you're gonna hurt yourself, because you are sinning. And sin in every religion is not offending God. It's hurting yourself. Google it. Do some introspection about that, okay? You're not living in accord with how you believe you should, right? It's basically self-destruction. You don't think you're a good person when you keep lying, right? You make it harder for yourself to understand that you are a good person. That's why I say to you, don't lie. Don't cheat, don't steal, don't kill. Because to be happy, we need integrity, right? We need to see ourselves as good people. We need to know that we are good. So when we say something, it matters. If you keep stealing and you keep lying, you're telling yourself you are a victim of your own sin. You are a victim of your own weakness. You are a victim of your own impulses. And people do that. They're like, oh, the devil made me do it. Or there was some, yeah. And then guess what? You start hating yourself. And you start being depressed. And you won't be successful at all. So write down your moral philosophy and make a plan to start living according to your moral philosophy, okay? It's what you believe. So what I recommend is sit for a little bit without a phone and contemplate being alive. It's nice to be in nature, right? start with 5 minutes a day, okay? Like, stop distracting yourself and think about what really matters. Because happiness is not money, it's not cars, it's not vacations, it's not girls, it's peace of mind, okay? That's what happiness is. And, you know, like, if you, I don't know, if you know that, then you're good. You're right. Like, you are all set. I don't know what's going on. Hold on one second. Okay. Hold on a second. I'm still at work, so things are. Hold on. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I gotta go. So don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, and don't kill any insects today. Bye. Mwah, mwah, mwah.